Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, May 29. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a state funeral to honor the life of former statesman Edward Seaga. Jamaica's fifth Prime Minister died on his 89th birthday yesterday at approximately 1 p.m. Jamaica time. He had been receiving treatment at a medical facility in Florida for the past 3 weeks. In Parliament Tuesday, Mr. Holness said plans were in place for Mr. Seaga's body to be returned to the island at the earliest possible time.
We expect that he will be accompanied by his wife and other family members, and he will be received by the government with the appropriate honor guard in place.
Prior to the funeral, Mr. Seaga's body will lie in state at a venue to be announced, and a period of mourning will also be organized. In Parliament Tuesday, a moment of silence was observed for former Prime Minister Seaga. Prime Minister Andrew Holness led tributes for the man many hailed as Papa Eddie.
He served this country for most of his life. He was in this parliament for over 40 years. He is truly a great Jamaican. Indeed, he participated in the framing of our Constitution and in the development of so many institutions which now define Jamaica.
The impact of his life and the contribution that he made to this country will be felt for generations to come.
And we give thanks for his life. Our feelings at this time should not only be those of mourning, that is natural, that is human, but also of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for a long and productive life.
He dedicated his life to advancing Jamaica in every way, and we have become a cultural powerhouse worldwide because of Mr. Seaga's vision and service. All of us, especially those of us from West Kingston, we are heartbroken today, Mr. Speaker. He was closer than a brother.
And the song says, if loving you is wrong, then we don't want to be right. And we maintain that loving Edward Philip George Seaga was the right thing to do, Mr. Speaker.
A special sitting of the House is being planned where parliamentarians may pay more elaborate tributes to the former Prime Minister. In the meantime, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips also heaped praises on Mr. Seaga, remembering him as a giant in the cultural, social and economic life of independent Jamaica. Dr. Phillips said that having spent close to 60 years in representational politics, Mr. Seaga's passing was the end of an era in the island's political and social development. In addition to being the last surviving member of the committee which drafted the Jamaican Constitution, Dr. Phillips lauded Mr. Seaga for being the conceptualizer of many institutions, such as the UDC, the JCDC, Heart Trust, and Metropolitan Parks and Markets. He also recounted Mr. Seaga's contributions to the housing, arts, and social development of his former constituency. The opposition leader expressed condolences to Mr. Seaga's family, as well as his colleagues in politics, sports, music, research, and education, and his many friends. And the tributes continued to flow for Mr. Seaga from persons and entities that acknowledged his contributions to various sectors. On Tuesday, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen described the former Prime Minister as a strategic thinker, a man of action, and one of the architects of Jamaica's post-independent governmental structure. Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding remembered Mr. Seaga as one of the island's most accomplished nation builders, whose trailblazing achievements left an indelible mark on Jamaica's development. The University of Technology community, of which Mr. Seaga was its chancellor, praised him for his distinguished service to the learning institution and the wider Jamaica. The Premier League Clubs Association, which Mr. Seaga founded and chaired, hailed the late leader as a champion for football on the island.
On the formation of the Premier League Clubs Association, he really was instrumental in negotiating and assisting us to earn the vast amounts, increased amounts of money. Just to give you a scope, when we took it over from the JFF was getting 25 million a year in sponsorship for the league. And we, in the first few years, we were topping $100 million in sponsorship.
And the Heart Trust, which Mr. Seaga conceptualized in 1982, has committed to building on his legacy by equipping the nation's human resource assets to drive the island's socio-economic development. In other news, over $100 million will be spent this financial year to upgrade and implement several markets across the country. As part of the allocation, Negril in Westmoreland is to receive a market at a cost of $7 million. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie made the disclosure during his contribution to the sectoral debate in Parliament yesterday.
In consultations with the Negril Chamber of Commerce, residents and stakeholders in Negril, the technical team of the ministry has completed the design for a brand new market to be built in Negril.
At the same time, the Stony Hill Market in St. Andrew will be upgraded at a cost of $13 million. Works at that market are to include sanitary, electrical, and plumbing. The Hopewell Market in Hanover will undergo rehabilitation works valued at $20 million. And Phase 2 of repairs to the Clarkstown Market in Trelawney will also commence in this financial year. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has joined the education and media fraternity in mourning the passing of educator, columnist, and public commentator Martin Henry. 61-year-old Henry reportedly collapsed and later died after eulogizing former Prime Minister Edward Seaga on one of the island's television programs. Mr. Holness says Martin Henry has made a significant contribution to our education system, as well as being a strong advocate of transparency and good governance. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.